Namaste, friends. I'm Kamlesh Kapoor, Hindu Dharma Parent-Teacher Training Course. Today is the last lesson. It is the summary. And we are going to tie up various other issues which explain who the Hindus are and their social attitudes, their cultural ethos, as expressed in music and other fine arts, scientific aspects of Vedic Sanatana Dharma, and scientific attitudes. There's no scope for distortions, prose, myths. There are legends which the poets have a license to include or embellish, but the base itself of Hindu Dharma, Sanatana Dharma, is the cosmic reality itself. And there's nothing to dispute about. What we see every day in the law of nature, in the laws of the seasons, and the tendency to bring around harmony in relationships, nurture family. All of these are tied up in Hindu Dharma. And the self gains when everybody else is also happy and in bliss. So this is the different tying up the whole thing. It is more of informational where Hindus come from and where are they rooted. It is not that something is transplanted by just a prophet or a saint, or something reinforced by a priest in prose. It is none of those things. It has a grounding in the realities of the cosmos. So, how everything is intertwined, we are going to go through this. So, cultural ethos and social attitudes and aims of life. Respect for elders is one. Treating all life as sacred. The fact that we believe in reincarnation, recycling, transformation, so we believe that all life is sacred. All life has awareness and some divine spark. It may not be enlightened to the extent or evolved to the extent as in human beings, but it is there. So we treat all life sacred. We respect teachers and parents. Actually, the school or the teaching session begins with touching the feet of the teacher. And the morning begins, the day dawns with touching the feet of the parents. And in this touching the feet, there is a feeling of humility and surrender to the wisdom of others. So, the end goal is harmony in society, trying to live healthy life, balanced life. Life according that lifestyle which is not contrary to the laws of nature, but goes along with it. Conserving natural resources. If we plunder all the scarce resources of the Mother Earth, then that means we are depleting the resources which are meant for the generations after we live, and then viewing the world as a whole family. In fact, a very important chant is which says that petty people think that this is mine and this is yours. The broad-minded, magnanimous people, they think that the whole world is a family. So, in other words, we are like birds of different colors sitting on a branch. So, the whole diverse humanity and all different species, we all share the branch, which is actually the Prithvi, Earth, this planet. You cannot say that the horses should go somewhere else, they should disappear because there are too many. And the modern attitude of, especially in America, there is a season when deers have to be hunted. Why? Because otherwise their population will grow. Who are we to decide that their population should be this much or this much, 10 or 100? This is an arbitrary kind of very violent attitude towards other species. So everything kind of goes together from one thing logically to the other, and all of these social attitudes and aims of life, they gear towards eventually harmony in the mind, peace in the mind, and peace everywhere else. Dance, drama, and music. These are cultural expressions of cultural ethos. And they all stem from religious themes, dharmic themes. Whether a performance is in dance or musical or in a drama, the theme is to give divine experience, build a connection, and give us some kind of peace of mind and bliss. Mostly people in drama, they choose different aspects of the life of Shri Ram and Shri Krishna. But then many times there are subjects which are very complex philosophical issues, and they are expressed in very intricate moves, and they incorporate different moods. So the teacher may bring some of the videos, DVDs of different performers, vocal, classical, or instrumental, or some drama, short drama, and those kind of things, and see how it gives you the total experience of being part of the past as well as the present. So there's old stories, historical stories, or complex philosophical issues. They actually give us a clearer idea who we are in this vast scheme of universes. So, and there are 9 different moods. It's not just one mood of wooing and seducing or rejoicing in the marital bliss. There are other moods of compassion, devotion, anger, disgust, laughter, comedy, and compassion. It's various moods. There are 9 different moods, and they are all depicted, expressed. Actually, those are used to enhance the understanding of philosophical issues. So the teacher can use different DVDs or CDs to give the idea how completely cultural ethos is twined and rooted into Hindu Dharma, Sanatana Dharma. Daily prayers are also musical. That is why people can keep on chanting even while they are doing the work in the kitchen or having a bath or cleaning up the house. And they are chanting because it's musical. And temple gatherings also engage in devotional music and musical performances. Many temples in India have beautifully carved panels, and they show the aspects of dramas, stories of Sri Ram and Sri Krishna, Mahabharata in the panels which are sculpted. For example, Ellora has the largest single rock temple, and that depicts the story of Ravan. So similarly, there are several temples, and all of them, they have outer walls about the material world, the past, the present, and aspirations. Inside the Garbhagriha, the inside small murti, vigraha, is just simple. The outside things are sculpted, carved, and etched also. It's a cultural ethos means that all kind of feelings and dharmic feelings, attitudes, they are depicted in different art forms. Now, there are scientific aspects. Sanatana Dharma cannot be relative to time and space because everything is in a spiraling motion, and it is scientific. If it was true yesterday, it is true today, it will be true in the next millennia or whatever time, infinite time to come. So spiral motion of time is actually evolution of life, evolution of the person, jiva, society. There are peaks and then there are decline. Some in the 10,000 years back, India was a rising cultural entity and at the peak of civilization. And then China came and Japan came, Indonesia came. All of these were affected by Indian thought. It was called Pan-Indian, Pan-Asian culture. And then later on, the decline came because of the invasions, because of the inner factors of laziness or inertia. You know, we take things for granted and stop making an effort to improve. So Kalpa theory is measurement of time. Kalpa is 4.32 billion years. And it is believed that we are somewhere in the middle of the Kalpa. After that, 4.32 billion years, due to some catastrophe or even due to the slowing of the rotation of the Earth around its axis, the Earth will not be able to sustain life. So then the Kalpa will end and Brahma's night will begin. This measurement of time is so scientific that modern day scientists, they say that life on Earth is about 3.5 billion years old. The first 1 billion years is just lower life, algae formation, and the mass. And then this is all scientific now. Indestructibility of matter. You see, matter is indestructible. What happens to it? With time, it changes forms. Human beings, they grow young, they're young, they grow old, older, and eventually they phase away. Something else comes up. So matter is not only indestructible, it also changes forms. Similarly, Atma, the divine spark within us, is also indestructible. Consciousness is indestructible. What happens when a person dies? These are things that you are going to teach them at an advanced level after finishing the basics. So these are now for students. This summary lesson touches upon those aspects where the student has some idea of physical laws, has grounding in psychology and philosophy, some logical way of thinking, reasoning. Only then these things can make sense to people. So the laws of nature are irreversible and they're immutable. There's no such thing as forgiveness by devas or forgiveness by any other entity. Theory of karma does not admit intervention by a priest or by any other person. It does not permit alteration. What is meant to happen will happen, and your karmas will take you towards that. So once an action is done, there is no such thing as forgiveness or mutation of that. So then there is divine law, which is Sanatana Dharma, and karmic law, which we have already explained as our duties and responsibilities, our attitudes, and how we relate to others and govern society and the country. All of these are karmic laws, ways of governing. Scientific attitudes. You see, there is nothing absolute. And one should not be ashamed that person is ignorance. We are all born ignorant, but then through knowledge and education, we make progress in acquiring skills and information and wisdom. So acceptance of ignorance is a fundamental scientific attitude. If you pose as all-knowing egotist person, then that means you have stopped learning. Many people behave at the age of 65 as if they were 25. They were talking the same way 40 years back as they're doing now, which means that these people, they stopped growing, they stopped maturing, and the evolution kind of stopped for them because they thought they know already about everything. So this is a major hurdle. This is called tamas and illusion. A, they are ignorant, and B, they don't know they are ignorant, and C, they have an illusion that don't need to learn anything further. So inquiry into the nature of ignorance and knowledge through debates is a Hindu tradition, very ancient tradition. In the courts of the kings, there used to be philosophic debates and discourses, and this thing continued all through the first millennia of the current era. And Upanishads are basically dialogues about inquiry into the nature of things. So acceptance of diverse opinions. This is one of the greatest contribution of Sanatana Dharma and philosophy behind it, that we entertain and accept diverse opinions. That is why when Buddha focused on suffering, we accepted it. Yes, what he's talking is the correct thing for that particular aspect. When Shri Guru Nanak Dev Ji said about bhakti and reached to the divine in order to avoid suffering, he was focusing on another aspect of Sanatana Dharma. Similarly, Jains, they were focusing on austerity, self-control, and non-hurting any animal, even if it is a small little microorganism. So all these are diverse opinions, diverse type of emphasis on this or that aspect of Sanatana Dharma, and we accept. Freedom to choose one's own path is the ultimate freedom. It is the ultimate freedom. And students should know about Hindu Dharma, whether they are practicing or not, or learning about it, that it admits freedom. Freedom to believe, not to believe in. Freedom to choose one's own path, go this route, that route. It allows different paths, give rise to diversity, lead to creation of vast literature. It's amazing that once you start reading a few of the ancient books, you think that life is too short to even get the 0.5% of the knowledge base that was created in the past 5 to 10,000 years of recorded history. Now, relevance. Something which is scientifically valid and is applicable to all times, that is relevant today also. If it was relevant, peace was relevant 10,000 years back, it is still relevant. Harmony and versus self-doubt and hatred, those kind of things were there, and those challenges are here today too. And self-control for mental and physical health, this is relevant today. It was relevant then, because human body is the same. On 10th day, if we do not get rid of the excessive protein built up, we will develop some kind of toxins. So the fasting every 10th day, avoiding the proteins, is relevant. It is for health. Navratri fast. Those two occasions, twice a year, are when the harvests are cut, and the grains and all kind of protein, high protein grains, they are in abundance. So people have a tendency to eat too much. So they say that 8 days of grain fast, so that you don't overeat all of them. All of these things have a scientific base, and that is the reason why they are relevant today, just as they were relevant in yesteryears. So only those things are relevant which are applicable all the time. There is no absolutes, because the variability and flexibility of time frame is there. No finality or no ultimate truth. Everything is resilient, but within the Sanatana Dharma. And that is what the students at advanced level will learn. And your ability to instill in them as teachers inquiry, the sense of inquiry that will build up the fundamentals of philosophy. And then the most important thing, that the Jagat, the world, is an illusion. How so? Because every second somebody dies, somebody is born. Every second something is happening, something is has stopped happening. So it's a tour. By definition, Jagat means that which exists and that which is in constant motion. And something which is in constant motion and change is not really stable. It is dynamic. So herein lies the theory of relativity, that everything is bound by time and place. So it is the fundamental part of Hindu philosophy. Now, the last part is very important, because when we translate things in English, when we don't find appropriate experiences in English language or corresponding environment of thinking in a certain way, we tend to do wrong translations and miss the point, create more confusion than there was before. Dharma is not just a way of living. Sanatana Dharma is cosmic law. I cannot change it, you cannot change it. At best, you try to cope with it, align with it. Avoid getting sidetracked by social issues and stray incidents. They are passing things. A person is abusive and he killed somebody. It is a stray incident. It's a human tendency, but it is not something that is only true for a Hindu Dharma or not for any other faith tradition. So those kind of social issues, social structures, that there was something like Sanatana Dharma wanted a certain classification, those are absolutely extraneous. So as a teacher, please do not get sidetracked with it. Avoid categories which are not in Sanskrit language and text. Religion. Religion is realigning something to different or different kind of faiths, sectarian views. When they are aligned together to merge, that is religion. Sanatana Dharma is not a religion, it's Dharma. Soul. If you see the dictionary meaning, soul does not mean Atma. Indologies. Whoever heard of this word? Even today, some of the software rejects this word as wrong. It never was there. Indologists mean science of those who study the science of India. Is there something like Britanology or Frenchologies or say Germanology? Does it make any sense to have a word like Indologists? What exactly they are? Who they are? What are they studying? What is the logic of it? And then the next word, ritual. We have ceremonies, there are no rituals. Spirituality. We have self-realization, reaching the divine inside and reaching the divine through devotional prayers. And it's not spirituality, because spirit has a different meaning. Our gods and goddesses. Most of the temple schools and even the priests, they make a declaration that Hindu gods and goddesses, as if we have a some kind of um ownership of the sun, the moon, and all the air, the water, all those devas that we worship or offer prayer to. They are not our gods and goddesses. They are natural energies which benefit the entire humanity, all species. We cannot claim them. But others, if they do not pray to those, that is their choice as well. So we do not use the word gods and goddesses. Hindu gods and goddesses is more ridiculous. Idols, icons for Vigraha, Murti, Pratima. Wrong words. Mythology, there is nothing mythical about it. The eternal law is still eternal and it is there, visible. Empirical data is there, available. Pantheon, again meaningless. Brahmanic, this is a new word in the last about 100 years, it was 150 years it was coined. What does that mean? Pertaining to Brahma or pertaining to Brahmins as a class? Brahmanic, Brahmanical, Brahmanism. What are these words? What do they pertain to? Heaven. Who knows what is heaven? If anybody went there, did not come back to tell us. Hell, angels, devils, witches, vampires. These are useless kind of terminologies. They are not tied up to any effort at seeking the divine. So this part, these categories, English words, should not be used at all. And please, as teachers, it is your duty to encourage them, students, not to use these words. And once you drill it in a repetitive way, they will stop using these. They will use the word devas, they will use the word legends, they will use the word pratima, vigraha, devas, devis, dharma, atma, and all of these things. Now, in summary, what we start with and where do we take the students at the completion of the first 16 lessons? That is that contains the beauty of teaching. If they have learned in 16 lessons the basics of Sanatana Dharma and who the Hindus are, what is their way of life, and if you are able to teach those 16 lessons in a meaningful way, that's more than any teacher can achieve. So be focused, be relevant to modern conditions, give them the experience, not just the information, inculcate in them the spirit of inquiry, and not just absorbing and having visual effects. You are not a teacher is not a performer. Teacher is a teacher. And if you have failed to teach, that means the students have not learned. So your success is that the students have learned. Having said that, I have given you a lot of tips to be good teachers, and parents can be good teachers as well. Best wishes as teachers in the temple or as teachers of social studies doing the section on Hindu Dharma. My best wish is enjoy teaching. It can be challenging, but it is immensely rewarding also. Thank you very much. And that ends our workshop.